always a pleasure to speak with you. The last time you and I had a chance to talk, it was about relationships, Valentine's Day, and we were still sort of coming out of the pandemic. And just for folks to know that we are probably going to do this again for 2023. But as we are ending 2022, as you can see behind me, New Year's, people always have these grand ideas about going into a new year. And I wanted to talk to you about that because I feel like a lot of times, especially for the last couple of years, people always look at the following year as it's going to be a new rebirth. Everything's going to change. My life is going to change. Everything's going to change. It's going to be glorious. And then when they come to the end of the year, like 2022, I've actually heard on the news that a lot of people said 2022 was probably their worst year ever. For me personally, it actually was a lot better than the last couple of years. So, yay for me. But thank you. Why do you think we do this when it comes to New Year's, that we always pull all our hopes and dreams on this almost one day and then the next year, instead of just turning around and just whenever we feel like it at any time and going, I'm going to make a change?
So our brains think in compartments, if you will. And unlike boundaries, when we think about compartments, we think about beginnings and ends. And so the new year provides a great point at which to begin something new. And we have this notion going into any new year of going big or going home, like an all or nothing kind of endeavor. And we end up disappointed all the time because going all in never works. It's too lofty an idea. It's too big. So I always tell people, let's just back it up a little bit and slow the roll tiny bit. It's wonderful to have a big idea, but you can't get from A to Z in one leap. You have to go from A to B to C. So I like to suggest baby steps, because any aspect of success is going to be had when it's realistic and achievable.
One of the big things that people always want in their New Year resolutions is losing weight. And excuse me, one of the things that they do is, before New Year's, they'll eat all the junk food that they want and can. And then 3, 2, 1, boom, suddenly they're not touching anything. They're trying to eat rice cakes and vegetables and things that they really haven't eaten all year long. And they're going to the gym and their bodies aren't used to that. And is that, again, a setup for failure? And what can people do when it comes to those kind of situations, when it comes to health? And they also, another thing I want to throw too, is sometimes they'll buy, maybe they're large, they'll buy something in a medium and they'll say, I'm going to get into that. That's where my focus is going to be. And it doesn't always happen. Plus the fact sometimes that outfit goes out of fashion real fast.
That's true. So, okay, listen, I mean, it's very, very positive to have a grand idea or a grand goal. But again, you have to get there in a modus operandi, if you will, that's achievable for you. So yes, weight loss is a huge thing. I think it's okay, to have the goal of starting something new and just, gorging on whatever you want before, January 1st or January 2nd or Monday or whatever day you choose, to say, okay, this is the end of my old thinking and my old life and my approach into my new life. The problem is that both physiologically and emotionally, stopping eating cold turkey from going from, all the wonderful things that we're eating and including the junk to eating healthy and eating smaller portions, is not realistic. And physiologically, our bodies know that we're not getting all those other foods anymore, like starches and sugars. And so our brains signal to our bodies, I can't do this. I need the sugar. I need the carbs, I need the fat. So it's very important to approach any new changes or any new shifts in your life um, very conscientiously with a plan, with baby steps, because that's where it's going to be achievable.
Does that go with the same thing too? Because another thing is people like to talk about finances. They want to get the finances together, hopefully pay off their bills, maybe get a job. It sounds like everything that you're talking about, whatever your goal is, you need and if I can use the word, realistic plan to follow. How do we find these things?
Well, I think expectations plays a huge part in what we end up thinking about and where that thinking takes us. So we definitely need a plan. We definitely need to see on paper what our goals look like so that we can ensure that they're achievable. Um, and then approach it, in a very sensible, meaningful way. All of our goals can be achieved, but we have to do it smartly so that we have success. And success is often only had and begotten when we start small.
What about the person? Now we're going to go a little bit deeper. The person who looks in the mirror and says they don't like the person that they see in the mirror, but they say, New Year, I'm going to try to change that. I want to see somebody in that mirror who I can love and enjoy to be with. How does somebody go about? Do they find somebody like yourself to talk to? Do they look around and figure out maybe there are people around them that are bringing them down and not bringing them up? Those kind of things. What can somebody do to help follow that course?
I think it's really important, Rudy, for all of us to do a personal intake every once in a while and, look in the mirror. It's, what I call the mirror exercise. And it's something that I prescribe to my clients to do at nighttime, when our defenses are lower. For women, when the makeup is all off, and take a good hard look at ourselves. And I think 80% of the work is acknowledging and realizing and owning that I'm not happy with who I am or who I see in the mirror. And then, yes, if you need some extra help, definitely seek out somebody that you think that you can connect with to give you that support and guidance. Certainly someone like myself, a mindset and empowerment and communication coach is helpful. Somebody who can bring in some psychological aspects, some CBT and NLP methodologies. But the biggest aspect about this issue, where we look at ourselves and we're just like, I don't really like who I am, I don't like what I see, is really feeling that and identifying what it is that you're not happy with, and sitting with yourself quietly and figuring out, well, what do I need in my life and how do I go about achieving that? So sometimes it may require you to change your eating habits. Sometimes it may require you to change the people that you surround yourself with. Sometimes it may mean a life shift. Sometimes it may mean tweaking your thinking. So a lot of what I do in my practice with my clients is that reception perception aspect, about how we perceive what we hear or what we think, and repackage it so that we can readjust our mindset so that it's more powerful and more forward moving. So the inner work is necessary. The inner work can be very, very difficult. But again, it goes back to expectations and baby steps. It has to be realistic. Otherwise, it's inachievable.
Can social media postings work against your New Year's resolutions? And I'll give you an example of two things. I remember just a couple of days ago, I saw somebody on social media who was trying to sing a song about her not being in a relationship and wanting to, in 2023, find her Romeo, whatever. And I actually felt sad for her for doing something like that. A year ago, I remember being in the gym and I saw two people I'd never seen before. I guess they had decided to join, and they were videotaping themselves working out. And I assume they were posting these things. But and this usually happens for people who join gyms, within about less than 2 months, I never saw them again. Can posting set yourself up for the opposite, not the positive?
The answer clearly is yes. I think a lot of it depends on your mindset going in. So, we're run by our egos. We can't help being judgmental, right? We can't help comparing. We can't help judging ourselves against what we don't have and what we want. And then the conundrum ends up being that what we see on social media becomes this lofty, unattainable idea or aspect of our lives that we want to incorporate or become, and it all goes to pot. It's a very easy out. So I think that when you're looking at other people's posts, you really have to be clear about what you want and how you feel about yourself, because the last thing you want to do is start feeling those feelings and sentiments of fear of missing out. I'm not good enough. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel like I have any value because I'm not like them. We are all different, and we all bring so many wonderful things to the table. So I don't like comparing. It's very, very dangerous. However, I think that it can be done in a safe way if your mindset is set to using somebody else's posts to motivate and inspire you.
And the other thing I'd like to add, if you agree or disagree, is um, I've read, and I've done this myself too, where I've set a goal, but I don't say anything. But what I do is I post, or I might mention the results afterwards to say, hey, you know what? 6 months ago, I wanted to do this. Guess what? I did do it. So if it fails, nobody knows. But then if it happens, then I can celebrate it with everyone.
So accountability, I think, is what you're talking about. And a lot of people post to ensure accountability, and then some other people, like yourself in this example, might not post in case it doesn't happen. I think. I think either way, you have to be realistic, and you have to have a clear plan and clear boundaries as to how you're going to reach those goals. Accountability is super, super important. So
Yes.
there's one aspect that I'm particular to, and that is making sure that somehow you are accountable to yourself, whether it's posting it on social media or writing it down and sticking to it, running your life, living your life like it's a business, making sure that you get the workout in, before you start your day, or
Yeah.
you make it like an appointment kind of thing. But it all has to be reachable and attainable and doable and sensible. Otherwise, it's going to fail.
One of the things that I always love is the fact that, first, I hate that word failure. And I think it's an unfair word, because I've always learned, and what I've read and I've seen is every day is a new day. So maybe at that point you failed at what you wanted to do, but when you wake up the next morning, it's a new, fresh day. And it doesn't mean you still have to follow what happened yesterday. It's a fresh start. I mean, do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree completely. And again, this is where I thrive. I'm so good at this aspect of what I do, and that's the renaming and reframing part. I love failure. I love failure because failure means that you've learned a new way not to do something. So it makes the goals attainable when you change your mindset. And failure is just another way of learning. Okay, I can't achieve it this way. I have to figure out another way. So you fail at something 10,000 times. You've only learned 10,000 ways not to do something. So I love failure. I don't like the word because we've all been raised with it having such a negative connotation. But failure is not bad. It's learning and growth, and this is what we need to enter into each and every day with, is that it's a new day for new learning and for new growth. And then it just kind of makes everything that doesn't work out the way we want it to okay.
You just explained the movie Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
exactly it.
yeah.
Uh, as we're wrapping this up, if we could even sort of bring everything together for folks who are looking for that new life, new look, new thinking, new everything, is there a particular formula they can follow in hopefully achieving their goals? And I'll use this word realistically.
Expectations are going to kill it every single time. So if your expectations are too lofty and too big, chances are you're not going to follow through the way you want to. So my recommendation is to absolutely do everything that you want to do. Step into your power and step into your empowerment and thrive. But make sure that you have goals and you have a plan, and you have boundaries, and make sure that you know yourself really well, so that these goals and the plan that you have are going to be attainable for you. And don't compare yourself to everybody else, because we're not like everybody else and we don't know what anybody else's life is like. Focus on yourself and your own goals and boundaries, and you will get there with a strong commitment to the commitment. And also, if you fall off the wagon or if you fail, that's okay. Just get right back up and do it again. At the end of the day, we're human and we have to let ourselves off the hook when things don't go our way. So for everybody who is looking to change and have a new year, a better year, and make those shifts and tweaks and adjustments, definitely do it, but make sure it's attainable and it's right for you.
I love it. Lauren, thank you so much for speaking with me. We're going to talk Valentine's soon, right?
I'd love that.
Oh, cannot wait. That's my favorite time of the year. Lauren, thank you so much and Happy New Year. All the best
Happy
to
New
you
Year,
and
Rudy.
yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you.